Hi boys and girls, today's project is going to be a polar bear. So we are going to draw with a black drawing utensil. It could be a Sharpie, a black crayon, a regular black pencil, like a colored pencil. I would not use a regular black marker, a Crayola marker, because we're going to be adding some water to this and we don't want that to bleed. Once you have your black drawing utensil, we're going to start by drawing the bear's body. So I'm going to start almost at the bottom over here on the left side. I'm going to leave a little space and I'm going to draw a big, huge rainbow line that goes all the way up to the top, close to the other side, and then back down to about the same spot on the other side. Next, I'm going to draw my polar bear's head. I want it to be nice and big right here in the middle. So it's going to look like the polar bear is coming right at us. Now, I'm going to draw it in kind of a square shape, but with rounded corners. So it's kind of like a combination of a circle and a square. Nice and big. Now, in the center of this shape, I'm going to draw another one that's a little bit smaller, and I'm going to put a little bit closer to the bottom. That's going to be my polar bear's snout. Now, inside that shape, I'm going to draw my polar bear's nose, which is going to be kind of a triangle, but rounded. So I'm going to make the corners rounded, like so. And then I'm going to make the top look shiny. So I'm going to color in the bottom part of my triangle and kind of just leave a little space at the top, white, so it looks like my polar bear has a shiny nose. I'm going to add a little bit more in there. Go a little higher. Next, I'm going to add the eyes. I'm going to put them kind of on the left and the right of that top snout shape over here. So I'm going to draw a circle, and then inside the circle, a smaller circle. Same thing on the other side. Now I'm going to color in the larger circles but leave the smaller ones white, and this will make it look like our eyes are reflecting light so they look shiny. Alright, next our polar bear needs some ears, so I'm going to put them here on the top left and top right of the head shape. And I'm going to draw a curved line on the outside and then make a smaller curved line on the inside, except the smaller one, I'm going to make it zigzag. So I'm going to draw the same curve, but I'm going to zigzag the line as I go around. And I'm going to repeat that step on the other side. Next, I'm going to draw a rainbow line like this big one, much smaller here under the bear's head. About like that. Now this creates his two front legs, which we see here. And all that's missing now are his paws. So for the paws, I'm going to draw the same kind of line I drew here, but on the left and on the right. And I want my paw to connect to the legs. So after I draw my line, I want to double check that these lines are connecting. So you might have to bring them down a little bit if they don't quite touch. And then next I'm going to add lines to make claws inside of the bear's two paws. And there's my polar bear. Now I'm going to put away my Sharpie, and I'm going to be adding a little bit of a shadow around the edges of my polar bear. The polar bears are white, but this shadow will make it look a little more three-dimensional. So I'm going to be using a gray marker for this. If you don't have a gray marker, you could really use any other color marker, but I would suggest purple or blue maybe. You could also just use a gray crayon for this, or even some black chalk if you kind of blended it in. So I'm going to start by just kind of drawing a line, and I'm kind of using the side of my pencil here, or my marker, to get kind of a thick line. And I'm going around the inside edges of my Sharpie lines. And I'm going to do that on all of his body, his paws. I'm going to go around the inside edges of his ears, inside edge of his head, and the inside edge of his snout. right, so next I'm going to take a paintbrush with some water. I don't need any paint, although you actually could use paint. If you have watercolor paint at home, you could definitely use paint instead of markers. So all I'm going to do is just kind of rub my paintbrush, my wet paintbrush, over the marker, and it's going to make the marker kind of bleed. And as it bleeds, it's going to kind of fade from that dark line that we made to a lighter line, which creates sort of a shadow. So I'm going to do this over all my gray lines. And like I said, you could do this with another color. Black might be too dark, but you could use purple or blue. And you could still do this with crayon just by kind of doing some shading. It would be a little bit harder, but you could definitely do it. All right, now once I've blended in the marker lines, I'm gonna work on the background. And I'm gonna do something similar on the background. I'm going to use marker, and then I'm going to kind of blend it in with my water. Now you could color the background with crayons as well if you wanted to. So I'm going to use cool colored markers, and especially blues and purples. That's what I'm going to stick with here. And in the background, I'm going to draw some kind of spirally lines, almost like winter winds blowing. I'm only drawing this in my empty white space, not over my polar bear. And you want to get the lines as close as you can. If you spread your lines out too far, you won't get very bright colors. So now I'm going to go in and add more lines with another color. And it's okay if they're overlapping, it's okay if they're touching, if they're really close. I'm going to fill in any empty spaces I see. I'm going to add one more color in there. Oops, I forgot this spot needs some blue down here. Alright, and I'm going to use the same technique. I'm going to use my water with just a clean paintbrush to kind of bleed those colors together. And as they bleed together, it will make my background look like it's been painted. And like I said, the more marker lines you add to the background and the closer together they are, the brighter your colors will be when you start blending that marker with water. My goal here is to fill in all of the white spots so that my entire background is just kind of this blue-violet color, or a mixture of my blues and purples. And now our polar bear is complete.